If you're an entrepreneur selling high-ticket offers online, but you're stuck at the low 5 figures per month mark, then this video is going to be for you, because I'll be finally sharing with you exactly what is missing inside your lead generation system that will allow you to actually hit that 7-figure mark, and even how to build it out. Now, in case you don't know who I am, my name is Lloyd Yip, founder of Attract and Scale. I actually helped build a startup from zero to $2.5 million in just 18 months before going off to build my own company that we've also been able to scale to 60K per month. So I'll be sharing with you some of the strategies that I had deployed and learned in my time there with you today. So let me move into my screen share now. All right, so the first thing that I want to do is maybe work with you to identify why your business might be having a hard time scaling at the moment. What are some of the biggest mistakes that many coaches, consultants, agency owners tend to make? Now, the first mistake is obviously that your offer in and of itself is not very strong. But for the purpose of today, I want to focus more so on the actual lead generation systems that you're deploying. But the reason why I bring up the offer is because if you have a weak offer, out of the gate, you're already setting yourself up for failure, right? If you've ever seen the Alex Hormozi $100 million offer book, you'll understand that it's much easier for even a mediocre sales guy to be able to sell a lot of what is a very good offer than having a really good sales guy try to sell a lot of what is a really bad offer, right? Inherently, if your offer has a claim which is strong, if it actually solves a specific need, if it isn't commoditized, if you actually have a differentiated value and like better customer testimonials compared to your competition, then of course it's going to make it easier regardless of the lead generation system. Fixing your lead generation system doesn't always make your business blow up. But let's assume that you actually have a good offer. What is that sometimes people end up screwing up in regards to actually marketing that really good offer, which causes them to maybe generate less sales than they should be? So let's actually get into that today. So the first system that oftentimes people use, and this is definitely what people usually start off their business and entrepreneurship journey with, is just like doing cold outreach. And this could be via the DMs, this could be on the phone, this could be over email. There's obviously a lot of different methods in which you can run your cold outreach. And the point of this is that you're just trying to like book a call directly from your cold outreach, right? So, I mean, if anyone here has maybe like launched 50 to 100 DMs a day on various social media platforms, just saying, hey, here's what it is that I do, here's who I help, here's like the claim or the promise that I can typically provide for you. I think this might have worked back in like 2018, 2019, even 2020. And certainly I've had my fair share of results from cold outreach. But the problem is today, most of the people that we're selling to are much more aware of how our internet marketing industry works. They might have been sold to in the past by other vendors, and they might have not had very good of an experience. They might have been burned in the past. They might be a bit more skeptical now. And because they see so many cold DMs coming through every single day, it's hard for them to differentiate who amongst the people who are sending these outreach messages are good or who are not very good, if you put it lightly. Because let's be real, a lot of people really have no business of selling an offer. They're not even experienced in their particular field of choice. So there's like no separation of excellence when you're looking at someone who can just like launch a cold email or a cold DM campaign, right? Like anyone can do it. So it's very hard for a buyer to be able to look at that person and be like, wow, I can trust you. You're actually good at what you do. There's not enough burden of truth. So that's why I would say like cold outreach today doesn't work in particularly well. So I'm just gonna like give this a red so that you can kind of like visualize why it's not great. Now, let's move to the next strategy, frankly, which actually fixes some of the areas that I would say cold outreach struggles with, which is like organic content. So organic content into a call, and obviously when you can create content on regardless of the channel, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, it doesn't really make a difference. If the content is good, and that's a big if, because a lot of people, they don't necessarily create good content. But if you actually do create good content that truly solves the problems of your buyers, and it really makes them feel as though, wow, this person understands exactly what my problems are and how to solve them, yes, they're going to be much more likely to book a call with you. The lack of trust that you have with just doing pure cold outreach doesn't exist when they have seen a lot of the content. But the problem is twofold, right? The problem, first off, is even if you have great content, what if no one sees it? And most people, when they share content, they're just like waiting for the LinkedIn or the Instagram or the YouTube algorithm to hopefully give them viewers. But in reality, that doesn't happen most of the time. in reality, you spend like 2 hours on writing an article or creating like some Instagram reel, and then like 40 people see it. And of those 40, maybe one book a call, maybe zero book a call. So that's the pain. And so many times have I even gone through the burden of creating content that I thought was like really good. And it was just like so frustrating and discouraging when no one would even engage or see it. So that's like the first issue with content. But the second issue with content is the fact that even if you do have people that were like looking at it, most people don't take action on content. That's the thing. Like think back to the last like 10 webinars that you saw, or 10 like long form articles that you read. What percentage of them have you ever actually taken the time to, you know what, let me click on this calendar link, let me book a call? It's rare. Maybe like 10% of the time, maybe even never are you booking a call even though you like the content, which is the craziest thing. So that's the second issue, right? Like most consumers of content are just very, very passive. So not to say that content isn't a good strategy, it is, and I'll go into how you can deploy content in a more intelligent way later in this video, one that actually can monetize your business. But the way that this is set up, the way where you're just sharing out organic content and hoping and praying that it turns into like pipeline and deals, like that also deserves a bit of a red X. All right, so that's what I'm gonna do for that. And let me actually show you one more strategy that oftentimes coaches and consultants and agency owners run, which is just like paid marketing. Now, just like content, I don't think paid marketing is bad. In fact, I wouldn't say any of these are necessarily bad. It's just about the context that you use them. But the issue is that most people are deploying paid marketing in a way which isn't like very effective. So here's like how typically people are running paid marketing, right? They're either driving people into a VSL and then into a call, right? That's one way. Or they'll maybe like drive people into a lead form. A bit more popular in like the agency space, but I'm starting to see a lot of like coaches and consultants do this as well. So like a lead form where someone literally just like fills out some information, like gives you their phone number, gives you their email, and it's just like a straight call to action on, hey, we have this offer, do you want to like learn more? So there's different problems for both of these strategies, right? So let me talk about the VSL funnel first. And this is classic. This is like a Sam Ubbins, Frank Kern, you know, Alex Becker type of strategy where you're just like driving people into like a 20-minute long video sales letter, and hopefully in that video sales letter people like see enough content from you and they feel as though, wow, this person just like really understands their stuff enough that they book a call, right? The reason why this doesn't work is like, there's multiple reasons actually, but the first reason is because frankly, most people have now seen so many VSLs that it's kind of like it doesn't work as well anymore because of the fact that they've seen so many VSLs. This is like the 10th person that essentially is saying the same thing again and again on the same video sales letter with the exact same structure and format with like very similar testimonials. It's just very hard for them to once again differentiate now whether or not like you're good or bad just because they've seen your VSL. And the second thing is like, yes, the VSL can be good because it does some indoctrination, especially compared to just like pure cold outreach, but it's still not that much content, right? Like if you look at a lot of the data, because I've looked at a lot of marketing studies, a lot of the data suggests that for someone to actually make a buying decision, they need to be spending not just minutes with you, but they need to be spending hours with you. They need to be even going through like 7 hours of interaction time, which could be a combination of them talking to you directly or reading your articles or listening to your podcast or looking through all of your videos. Like a combination of 7 hours of at least just thinking about you is what oftentimes people need for them to even buy your stuff or jump on a call with you, right? So the thing is, a VSL is just simply not enough exposure. And the second reason why a VSL is not going to be super effective is because of the fact that like someone converts into the VSL, right? And now you have their email, now you have their name, and potentially you're gonna retarget them and send them more email nurture. But the reality is like this is still relying on the prospect themselves to book the meeting, right? Because it's all automated funnel stuff. It's all technology. It's all them being given like a calendar booking link, and they ultimately have to just like decide, you know what, I'm gonna go and like click on a time and show up to the meeting. So these days, because most people are just like unwilling to do so, because like I was saying before during the organic content portion, that like 90% of people are much more likely to just consume the content and read the emails and watch the VSLs rather than booking the meeting. A lot of the people, even if they're good fits, who go through the funnel will never actually end up booking because they're not willing to take that proactive step. So the biggest thing with the VSL funnel is like, whereas maybe 4 years ago when you could book a call for like $200 per call, these days you're looking at like $350, $450, $500 per booked call. And if you have a very, very high LTV, maybe you're selling like a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 offer, you can get away with a higher cost per call. But a lot of the times, you can't really get away with that. You can't be spending $500 per call, because then your ROAS goes down to like 2. Especially if you have payment plans, that might mean that it takes you like, 3 or 4 months to even break even on cash. It's not great. So like the VSL funnel, I think can still work very well in specific use cases. The use cases being like incredibly high LTVs, or your market is just not very sophisticated. They haven't seen many VSLs, so to them it's still like a very new, like what is this? What is this VSL thing? Ooh, this is so compelling. But for people selling to like more sophisticated audience, probably doesn't work as well anymore. And that would include me as well, because like I sell to marketers. They've seen it all. So VSLs don't really work in marketers anymore for sure. Now the next version of how people oftentimes run paid ads is obviously like the lead form side, where you're more or less just saying, hey, this is exactly what my business does. Do you want to book a call? If you do, just like fill out this like lead form and give us your phone number, or just like here's a calendar booking link, right? And the problem with this is like, because you're just straight up asking for them to jump on a call, obviously, you're going to have a much higher drop-off rate. There's like very little indoctrination. There's very little trust being built. For all intents and purposes, it's the exact same thing as like the cold outreach, except you're just like deploying the message via paid marketing instead of like automated outreach or VA-driven outreach, right? So the conversion rate on that's going to be very low. Now, some people, instead of like going all the way in and asking for them to literally book a call, they'll just be like, listen, give us your phone number if you're interested in learning more, and we'll just like give you a call, right? And that's fine. You reduce a little bit of friction when you don't straight up just ask for a calendar booking. But the problem is like a lot of people are just going to be very unqualified. They're just not going to be the right buyers. So even if you do get like a better cost per lead relative to the VSL, I mean, the VSL is, you're providing more friction. So of course the cost per lead is going to be higher. But with a lead form, the point of this is kind of to minimize friction, and minimizing friction, what ends up happening is you book a lot of meetings with like highly unqualified people. And I've even ran lead form ads myself. At one point we were spending like maybe $3,000 or $4,000 on lead form ads just to test it out. And we were booking a lot of calls, like more calls than we had ever booked before. I think one of our setters like managed to book like 20 meetings from those lead form ads. Like half of them didn't show up to the call, and the other half like were not even qualified. So it was just like a lot of calls being booked. None of them really knew anything about us. They didn't trust us. They had gone through zero indoctrination, and they're not a good fit. So like, I don't really care about call volume. I care about call quality, and I care about closing deals. So like the lead format doesn't really work either, for different reasons in the VSL stuff. So for all that, I'm gonna also just like mark this as a red. So if these strategies don't really work, then what does work is the question, right? So let me actually show you what I call the hybrid strategy. It allows you to take the best of all those elements above, but it combines them together so that it actually works much more functionally. So in the middle is you got to have like indoctrination content. You got to be able to get people to really know, like, and trust you before you even try to pitch them to jump on a call or to buy your stuff, because without that sense of like trust and credibility, you end up in the same situation as people who you're just cold outreaching, and they won't be able to move forward. So like, for me, the best way to indoctrinate people is YouTube, because YouTube is like long form video and audio content. People actually spend a lot of time with you. They really get to see the degree at which you're like good at what you do. They'll hear about your philosophies, and you'll be able to actually answer and specifically solve their biggest problems, which earns you so much goodwill. So YouTube, to me, is the best way to actually get them into a call. And of course, sometimes you'll be able to book a call just from YouTube alone, right? Like my first couple of months of YouTube, I was able to generate nearly like $50,000 worth of revenue. And I wasn't really doing anything outside of just saying, hey, if you like this video and you found it valuable, then book a call with me below. But the truth is, like, YouTube scales very slowly on its own. And this is like the same problem that you had above with organic content, right? If you just like let YouTube be the one that gives you traffic, YouTube is gonna give you traffic very slowly. So you need to be like more proactive with getting traffic to your content. And that's kind of like the next step, which is instead of waiting for the algorithms to be the one that drives you traffic, you're gonna actually proactively get traffic into your YouTube channel so that you can just get more eyeballs much faster. So how do you do this? It's gonna be automated outreach. That's the first one, right? So like here you have cold outreach going to call, and cold outreach to call doesn't work because there's not enough trust. But cold outreach in and of itself is good at getting people to see your stuff. It's just that if your stuff doesn't convert, then it doesn't convert. Whereas if you run outreach like this to your content library, then instead of just like out of the gate selling them, you're out of the gate now just trying to add value and help them, which is like much more effective, and you can let the content kind of do a lot of the selling. So that's like another way that you could get people to your traffic. And I would say this is much better if you're kind of in the early stages, because if you're in the early stages, you don't have very much cash flow. This is still something that you can do for a very affordable amount of money. Essentially no marketing budget, and you can still run like a LinkedIn automation software or hire a VA that could send out like 50 to 100 DMs every single day to get people to your content or to join your community or whatnot, right? So if you're at a later stage though, let's say you're already doing $10, $20, $30,000 a month, you have the budget to mess around with, you already have like a validated offer, you know your content is good because you've been doing content, then you can run paid traffic. And that's something that I'm doing more and more experiments with now, because I know my content is good, and I know that when people see the content, they'll convert. So it's a matter of how do I actually just get people who I know are really, really good fits into my content directly. So I can use Instagram ads, I can use YouTube ads, I can use LinkedIn ads, and get them to see my brand. And I'm not trying to get them to convert into a VSL, but I'm trying to actually get them to convert by following me on social media, right? And the nice thing about this is like it's actually much easier to run a follower campaign on every social platform because they're just cheaper to run, right? Like when you ask LinkedIn or Facebook to send someone to your website where they'll fill up a form, they're going to charge you a lot more. That's a conversion-based ad. Facebook makes way more money on that. Whereas if you just want like Facebook to get someone to follow you on your Facebook page or Instagram to follow you in your Instagram page, that's much cheaper because you're staying inside the Instagram platform. And a lot of people historically have thought that's not very powerful. Like, who cares if they're just following you on Instagram? Who cares if they're just following you on social? I want them to be on my website so I can like convert them. But in this day and age, the beautiful thing is like social media in and of itself is the VSL. Like my Instagram page has like so many reels and so much content, and all the stories have all my customer testimonials, and then I link my Instagram directly to my YouTube, and I even include some of my like abbreviated short form versions of my YouTube videos directly in my Instagram. And the same thing, like my LinkedIn profile has a lot of my YouTube videos. It's actually better if they just follow my page, which is cheaper for me, and now they can actually see some of my content. If they want to see my YouTube content, they can just navigate there to get more depth, right? And now I can actually DM them, because whereas if you were to just get someone to opt into a VSL or a lead form, you might have their email, you might have their phone number, and you can certainly like email and call them, but having them in social media where you can now DM them directly on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, it's like a way better way to actually get in contact with them. And frankly, the open rates and the response rates on DMs are like 1 billion times better than just trying to send someone like a cold email or a nurture email, right? We all know that marketing email open rates these days have gotten like so much worse. So you drive paid traffic now to your social media profiles, which eventually funnels through YouTube, and then you book a call that way. And then the final step is you even have a setter, right? A setter is someone that will allow you to facilitate like a higher percentage of the people who see your content into booking a call. Because like I said earlier, one of the biggest problems is that a lot of people just like lurk. They'll consume your content, but then they don't actually convert, they just lurk. So instead of just like waiting for people to actually like find the calendar link on their own, we just like pretty much DM people and say, hey, listen. So instead of just like waiting for people to actually like find our calendar booking link and book on their own, we'll just DM them, because now we have them on social media, right? We can just DM them on LinkedIn, on Instagram, be like, hey, why did you follow me? Thanks for opting into our content. What's your story? Asking them discovery questions so that you can figure out their biggest pain points, right? And facilitating them into booking a call, and literally even suggesting them time slots and making it really easy for them to book rather than just waiting for them to book on their own. And you can see here, this just goes to show, right? Like one of our setters, he's been booking like on average 10 to 20 calls every single week. And it's because we do this. Like we still do book meetings directly from our content, obviously, but like our setter generates like 4 meetings proactively for every 1 meeting that we book just by accident, or for every 1 meeting that we're just booking like automatically via our content. So that's kind of the approach that I would like. And
This is the approach that I'd recommend for you as well. This is something that has allowed so many of our clients to be able to scale to like 6 figures per month. So there's no reason why you can't do the same if you have like a high ticket coaching, consulting, agency business. So if you want to build this out, we'll actually help you construct a lot of this. We'll show you exactly the methodology. So just book a meeting with me down below, or follow me on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and our setters can have a conversation with you there. So we can, obviously help you out to get you to your next phase in business. If not, you can always just check out some of these videos as well. I'm sure they're going to be really valuable to you. And with that being said, I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.